Imagine burning a stack of $100 bills every single time you hit send on a newsletter.
Wow. Yeah, that is quite the visual.
Right. But if you are mixing your sales pitches with your helpful tips and, I don't know, your company updates all in the exact same email, that is essentially what you are doing to your
You
business.
just setting money on fire.
Exactly. You sit there listening to the digital crickets, wondering why nobody is clicking, when in reality, you actively drove them away.
It is a phenomenal way to frame the problem, really. We pour so much energy into crafting, the perfect message. But because the underlying structure is chaotic, the output completely flatlines.
Yeah.
You're asking the reader to do way too much intellectual heavy lifting just to figure out what you want from them.
And that is exactly what we are fixing in today's deep dive. We are unpacking this incredible masterclass guide on the anatomy of strategic email marketing. Specifically, the source is called Nurture, Convert, Retain.
It's a fantastic framework.
It really is. Our mission today is to rescue you, the listener, from that vicious cycle of random email blasting. We are going to decode the precise anatomy of the three core types of emails and, more importantly, show you the underlying psychology of why they absolutely have to work together.
Right, because we want to help you build a scalable engine for growth rather than just adding another layer of, well, noise to someone's incredibly crowded inbox.
Totally.
The foundational argument we are looking at today is incredibly grounding. It suggests that the biggest mistake businesses make with email isn't a lack of effort.
Or bad copywriting, right?
Exactly, not bad copywriting, is a fundamental lack of structure. People tend to treat their email list as a single monolithic tactic. You have an audience, so you shout everything at them all at once.
It's a total free-for-all.
Right, but email is a system. And if you do not understand the distinct, isolated goals within that system, your audience will naturally disengage.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the material points out a specific fatal flaw that I think almost everyone with a business or a brand is guilty of at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
It is the habit of mixing nurture messaging, conversion messaging, and retention messaging all into one single send.
It's so common. And when a reader opens an email that tries to, give them a helpful life tip and then aggressively pitches a high-ticket product,
Like 3 lines later?
yes, and then asks them to review a past purchase at the bottom, you trigger massive cognitive overload.
Yeah, their brain just short circuits.
The brain literally has to burn calories to evaluate which of those three totally different paths is the most important. And since the human brain's default state is to conserve energy whenever possible,
The easiest choice is to just close the email.
exactly, the most frictionless choice for the reader is to do absolutely nothing.
It is totally paralyzing. Trying to do all 3 of those things in one email is like going on a first date and trying to introduce yourself, ask them to marry you, and plan your joint retirement all over the appetizers. It's going to scare people away, right? You have to pace the relationship.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. Every single email you send must have one primary purpose.
Just one.
Just one. And those purposes fall into 3 distinct intents. You have building trust, which is the nurture phase.
Okay.
You have driving action, which is the conversion phase.
Yeah.
And you have maintaining the relationship, which is retention. You simply cannot ask for a massive commitment like buying a product or booking a consultation without establishing a baseline of trust first.
Which means, before we can even talk about selling, we have to look at the absolute foundation of this entire system. The nurture email.
The nurture email.
Yeah.
Sent early in the customer journey or carefully placed in the breeding room between your big promotional campaigns.
Right.
And the golden rule of the nurture email is absolute zero selling.
0.
None at all.
None. These messages exist strictly to build the relationship, to educate the reader, and deliver actual measurable value to their day. So let's look at the anatomy of how to actually write one of these. The guide breaks it down. It starts with a subject line designed purely to spark curiosity.
Or establish deep relevance to the reader's current life.
Right. Then, the opening lines must immediately acknowledge the reader's situation or a specific frustration they're having. You have to make them feel seen right out of the gate before you offer any advice.
And following that acknowledgement, the body of the email is pure value delivery.
Just giving them the goods.
Exactly. You provide an insight, a tactical tip, or perhaps a story that helps them reframe a problem they are struggling with. But here's the critical mechanism, the call to action, or CTA.
Wait, a CTA in a nurture email? I thought you said zero selling.
Zero selling, yes.
Yeah.
But even in a nurture email, you want them to take action. It just has to be remarkably low pressure. You are not asking for a credit card.
Okay, so what are we asking for?
You are asking them to read a blog post, or reply with their thoughts, or simply reflect on a concept. You are training them to engage with your emails without introducing the friction of a sales pitch.
Got it. Let's look at how a marketing systems agency actually does this in practice from the text. They send out an email with a really fascinating subject line: why most marketing efforts don't turn into revenue.
Which is brilliant. It immediately targets a massive bleeding neck pain point for their specific audience. It sparks instant curiosity because the reader is, well, likely experiencing that exact frustration.
And the email opens by acknowledging that exact frustration. It validates that the reader is probably putting in tons of effort, launching campaigns, writing content, but seeing totally unpredictable results.
Yeah, it builds that empathy.
Then the body drops the value. It explains that the issue isn't a lack of effort, it's a lack of structure. It connects their exhausting daily activities to the realization that they need a predictable system.
Now, notice how that specific email ends. It doesn't pivot and say, hire our agency today to build your system.
Because that would ruin the trust.
Exactly. It would feel like a bait and switch. Instead, it ends by simply hinting that a deeper explanation of how to build this structured system is coming in the next message tomorrow.
No, I have to ask about that. Isn't hinting at the next message without giving them the full actionable solution right then and there just going to frustrate the listener?
It seems like it would, right?
Yeah, it feels like leaving them on a cliffhanger.
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of withholding information.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with a dopamine loop of anticipation.
The dopamine loop.
Right. By not pushing a sale and by giving them just enough insight to realize you understand their problem, you make them crave the next piece of the puzzle.
Oh, wow.
You are establishing yourself as the authority who holds the answers. They aren't frustrated. They are hooked. They are actively waiting for your name to pop up in their inbox again.
You are leaning them forward in their chair. You are priming the pump.
Precisely. By creating that anticipation, you are preparing the audience for a sale, rather than forcing one on them while their defenses are up. But, you are running a business, not a charity.
Right.
You cannot just nurture indefinitely. Once that anticipation and baseline trust reach a tipping point, the relationship has to evolve.
Which brings us from the appetizer to the actual proposal. The second anatomical part of our system, the conversion email.
Yes.
This is where strategy meets hard execution. These emails are direct, they're focused, and they have one singular objective, driving a specific action that leads to revenue.
Direct, but importantly, not aggressive. The core principle of a conversion email is absolute clarity. You want to remove absolutely every piece of friction between the reader and the decision you want them to make.
So the anatomy of this one shifts gears. The subject line moves from curiosity to communicating clear value or urgency.
Yeah.
And the opening reinforces exactly why this offer matters to them right now in this moment.
And the body copy then does something very specific. It highlights benefits over features.
Not just a bulleted list of specs.
Right. It doesn't just list the technical specs of what a product does. It answers the reader's internal subconscious question, which is always, why should I care? And how does this change my life today?
And then we get to the call to action. The CTA here must be aggressively singular. No options.
Yeah.
No, click here to buy, or maybe follow us on Instagram, or check out our latest YouTube video. Just one clear, illuminated path.
Because multiple options create decision fatigue. When you give a reader 3 choices in a conversion email, they have to weigh the pros and cons of each action.
And that burns calories again?
Exactly. The brain gets overwhelmed by the fork in the road, and the most likely choice becomes simply closing the email and doing nothing.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. A conversion email is basically setting up a bowling lane with the bumpers up.
Ah, I love that.
You are removing all the other distractions, capping the gutters, blocking off the alternate options, so the reader's decision rolls straight and true right toward the pins.
You are taking the momentum you built during the nurture phase and channeling it into a single point of impact. Let's look at the follow-up example for that marketing agency.
Right, the next day's email.
The prospect was nurtured, they are anticipating the answer, and then this conversion email hits their inbox. The subject line, if your marketing isn't converting, this is why.
It connects right back to the previous email's premise about the incomplete system.
It does. It immediately offers the tangible solution, a marketing system audit. It explains the exact benefits the reader will gain from this: audit clarity, predictable revenue, less wasted effort. And it guides them to one and only one action.
Booking a call on their calendar.
Exactly.
Bumpers up, roll straight to the booking link.
The timing is the invisible engine making this work. Sending this exact same brilliantly written conversion email before you have done the nurture phase will result in terrible engagement.
Because it just feels like spam.
It will feel like spam. Because trust was established first, this direct sales message feels like a tailored opportunity to the reader, not a high-pressure pitch.
Okay, so the machine is humming. You nurtured them, you sent the conversion email, they clicked the link, they booked the call, and they paid the invoice.
Success.
Most businesses at this point are popping the champagne, ringing the sales whistle, and immediately turning all their marketing attention to the next cold lead.
And leaving massive amounts of revenue on the table. Businesses obsess over acquisition, but strategically, the most lucrative phase of the relationship has literally just begun.
Which introduces part 3, retention emails. The focus here shifts entirely to maximizing customer lifetime value, or LTV. These are the emails sent post-purchase.
The anatomy of a retention email starts with pure acknowledgement. This is your thank you message, your purchase confirmation, your recognition of the action they just took.
Making them feel good about spending the money.
Right. It is fundamentally about building goodwill and validating their decision to trust you.
And then the body of the email provides ongoing value. It teaches them how to use the product they just bought or gives them advanced strategies for maximizing their results.
Yes.
So for our hypothetical marketing client, after they invest in the service, they get an email reassuring them they made the right choice. Instead of pitching an upsell immediately, it gives them advice.
Practical advice.
Yeah, it tells them to focus on just one improvement at a time, like refining their entry point before they worry about optimizing their whole follow-up system.
Exactly.
Wait, I am stuck on something here. Let's look at this objectively. They just bought the product. The money cleared the bank. Why are we spending expensive operational time and effort teaching them step by step how to use it?
It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. Shouldn't that marketing energy immediately pivot to acquiring the next new customer? We won the game, didn't we?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it fundamentally changes how you view a business's revenue cycle.
Right.
Winning the initial transaction is actually the most expensive and difficult part of the relationship.
Because customer acquisition cost is so high.
Incredibly high. Focusing on helping the customer succeed with their current purchase naturally opens the door for future opportunities. When they get results from your first product, they trust you implicitly. Right. It drives repeat engagement. It makes future upsells feel like natural next steps rather than aggressive sales pitches. You are deepening a relationship with someone who has already proven they are willing to open their wallet for you.
Which is infinitely more efficient than starting from scratch with a skeptical stranger.
Absolutely. It is the difference between forcing a one-time transaction and creating a lifelong vocal advocate for your brand. Retention emails prove that your business actually cares about the outcome, not just the initial credit card swipe.
Okay, so we have the 3 anatomical parts of the engine. Nurture to build trust, convert to drive action, and retain to maximize lifetime value.
The holy trinity of email.
But how do we actually bolt these parts together and run this machine in the real world? The text has a great FAQ section, and there are a lot of mechanical questions that pop up. I want to dive into the operational parameters.
We should. The mechanics are where a lot of solid strategies fall apart. Execution requires distinct boundaries.
First up is frequency. How often should we be hitting send without annoying people?
The baseline recommended is 1 to 2 times per week. But the golden rule is that consistency matters far more than volume.
So it's not about emailing every single day.
No, not at all. The frequency has to align with the type of email you are sending. You can send nurture emails very regularly because they provide value and demand nothing. They keep you top of mind.
Right.
But conversion emails need to be deployed tactically timed carefully around specific campaigns or triggered when a reader's behavior signals they're actually ready to buy.
If consistency is the most important factor, how does that scale? Does sending more emails mean we need to constantly feed the beast with a massive subscriber list? Because I feel like everyone thinks they need 1 million subscribers to make an email list worthwhile.
And this is where we run into dangerous vanity metrics.
Oh, yeah.
A smaller, highly engaged list will always outperform a massive, unresponsive one. And there is a deeply technical reason for this. Email providers like Gmail and Apple utilize algorithmic deliverability.
They're watching what you do.
They actively monitor how your audience interacts with your emails. If you send a blast to 100,000 people and 95,000 of them ignore it or delete it without opening, Gmail flags you as a low-quality sender.
Ouch.
Soon, even the 5,000 people who actually want to read your content won't see it because you will be routed straight to the promotions or spam folder.
So what does this all mean? Having a massive list of 100,000 unresponsive subscribers is essentially like, well, it's like putting a vanity license plate on a car with no engine.
That's a great way to put it.
You look really cool from the outside, but you're not actually going anywhere.
It is an expensive illusion of scale. Engagement is the only thing that protects your sender reputation.
What about the length of the emails? Do people actually sit down and read long-form emails anymore?
The guidance here is that there is no fixed length. Some high performers are short and punchy, while others are long, story-driven narratives.
So length doesn't matter.
The only thing that matters is clarity and relevance. Keep what is absolutely necessary to guide the reader and cut the rest to reduce friction.
Because friction is the enemy.
Friction is the enemy of action. If a paragraph or even a single word does not serve the primary intent of that specific email, whether that intent is to nurture, convert, or retain, it must be deleted.
So ruthless editing. Then there's the endless debate between using automation versus sending manual broadcast emails.
You absolutely need both.
Right, the text says you combine them. You automate the predictable stuff, the initial onboarding sequences, the immediate post-purchase follow-ups, but you use manual broadcast emails for timely updates and fresh insights.
You need automation for scale, so you aren't tied to your desk 24/7, but you need manual emails to maintain authenticity and cultural relevance.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk to a robot.
A fully automated system that never acknowledges current events or shifts in the industry ends up feeling incredibly robotic and tone-deaf over time.
And finally, what if you are doing all of this perfectly, but you are still seeing low open rates? The source suggests testing your subject lines is crucial, pitting curiosity-driven lines against direct benefit-focused ones.
But the ultimate reality check regarding metrics goes much deeper than open rates. Open rates and click-through rates are diagnostic tools.
They just tell you if the lights are on.
Exactly. They tell you if your subject line was intriguing or if your button was visible. But they do not pay the bills. The only metric that truly proves your entire strategic system is functioning properly is revenue.
Revenue.
Are these emails generating leads, booking consultations, or driving direct sales? If the answer is yes, your anatomy is healthy. If the answer is no, you don't just need a better subject line. You have a foundational structural issue to fix.
It strips away all the vanity and forces you to look at the actual business impact.
Email marketing is not just about what you send to your list. It is fundamentally about why you are sending it. When you align your intent with the proper structure, email stops being a guessing game and becomes a predictable, scalable engine.
It transforms your entire operational approach. Instead of sitting there staring at a blank screen, wondering what to randomly blast out to your list today, you are operating with total clarity.
You have a map.
You know exactly when it is time to build trust, when you have earned the right to present an offer, and when you need to focus on strengthening the relationships you have already built. Moving from random guessing to this intentional three-part structure, nurture, convert, retain, is what turns a noisy communication channel into a legitimate engine for business growth. You are respecting the reader's journey, guiding them step by step, rather than just demanding their attention and their money all at once.
It's a total paradigm shift.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, something that really crystallizes the psychology behind all of this. Think about your own personal relationships for a second. Your friendships, your family members, or even your professional networking contacts. Do you ever find yourself sending what is essentially a conversion text? Asking for a favor, asking for an introduction, or asking for their time to someone that you haven't nurtured in years?
Oh, we all hate getting those texts.
We absolutely despise receiving those messages in our personal lives. The random, hey stranger, can you do this huge favor for me text, it feels transactional and gross. So why do we assume our customers would tolerate that exact same behavior in their inbox?
They won't.
Maybe the anatomy of strategic email marketing isn't just some abstract, high-level business concept. Maybe it is actually just the anatomy of basic human connections, scaled up through technology.
That is a very powerful way to look at it.
Next time you sit down to draft an email to your list, don't just think about what you want to say. Think about where you currently stand in the relationship. Are you still on the first date, or have you earned the right to ask for the commitment?
Great question to ask yourself.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the anatomy of strategic email marketing. We hope you walk away with the psychological insights and the structural clarity you need to finally stop hearing those digital crickets and start building your engine. We will catch you on the next deep dive.